we could live on Earth for many years and miss out on some outrageous sights and events. Thanks to technology, that isn't going to happen. Not when we have mobile phone cameras, CCTVs, trail cams, you name it. These 10 clips were captured on camera, and the world stood in awe. Number 1. Africa splitting into two. Is Africa splitting into two? Yes, it is, but you shouldn't worry about that. It'll take another 50 million years for that to happen. By then, you'll be long gone. The East African Rift System consists of the Western and Eastern continental rifts. It stretches up to Ethiopia and Mozambique. This active rift began millions of years ago and split at 7 millimeters annually. The regular eruption of volcanoes in the area leads many to believe that the continent may split and form an ocean. Again, there's nothing to fear. East Africa is home to several geographical wonders attracting tourists from across the globe. It hosts famous volcanoes like Dalafila and Erta Ale in Ethiopia and the Ol Doinyo Lengai in Tanzania. Erta Ale is named one of the longest existing lava lakes in the world. Researchers say the volcanic activity in the region suggests a rift-to-ridge transition. However, they are still determining whether the split will continue until an ocean is eventually formed. Number 2. Sudan Pyramids. One of the most striking things about Sudan is its 200 ancient pyramids standing along the banks of the Nile River. These ancient edifices were tombs of kings and queens who ruled the Meroitic Kingdom for nearly 1,000 years. The pyramids were reportedly built by the Kushite kingdoms and were grouped into 5 sites. Tourists globally used to visit in their numbers until the civil war and conflict in the region restricted their movement. The country now welcomes less than 15,000 tourists yearly. This is only 10% of what they received in the past. The Nubian pyramids were built between 2,700 and 2,300 years ago. It has elements of Roman, Greek, and Egyptian culture. Although these structures differ from Egyptian pyramids, they may have been constructed around the same time. Did you know that Sudan has more ancient pyramids than Egypt? The structures depict a thriving bilateral relationship between her neighbors. Number 3. High-speed hippo chase. Hippos are large mammals inhabiting land and water. They are dangerous, and visitors to their habitats are warned to be cautious. This tourist got a first-hand experience of what it meant to be chased by a giant hippo. The animal had waited too long for the boat to move past it, but it was too slow. It charged at them and came after the group. Thankfully, the animal didn't catch up with them. Hippos do not tolerate humans getting too close to them in the water. Females become more aggressive if anyone touches their young. Scientists say hippos kill at least 500 people yearly with their giant tusks. These animals kill by suddenly surfacing under a boat or charging at the victim. They can also attack innocent people standing near the riverbank. It comes after you if it considers that area part of its territory. A quick hippo safety tip: if a hippo comes too close to you while swimming, stay still, because splashing water on the surface means it can easily find and go after you. Number 4. Giant ground cells. Mount Kilimanjaro is the highest mountain in Africa. The temperature on this mountain is lower as you ascend. Aside from the temperature dynamics, it's home to some of the world's rarest species. The giant groundsel resembles a cross between a cactus and a pineapple. This bizarre-looking plant is found about 14,000 feet on this mountain and a handful of other East African mountains. This plant has water storage in the pith of the stem and natural antifreeze features. Researchers say this plant species may have evolved from a common groundsel 1 million years ago. It climbed the slopes of the mountain via windborne seed distribution. The common groundsel, a species found in other parts of the world, is merely 4 to 6 inches tall, but giant groundsels grow over to 10 feet tall. Sometimes they reach a mind-blowing 20 feet. Number 5. Baboon break-in. A quick warning before we get into this video: never leave your windows open when you're away. Baboons get too playful and desperate when they want something. A neighbor in Betty's Bay, South Africa, captured the moment that 4 baboons entered a house through an open window. It wasn't until he screamed at them that they ran outside. He moved closer to another house with an open window. Alas, these animals had made themselves comfortable in the kitchen. They were having a nice time feeding themselves. The baboons are seen roaming around the property unguarded. While visiting a lavish villa and having the time of your life seems like a valid dream, it comes with a few downsides. Activists don't subscribe to treating baboons badly for invading homes. They say it's normal for these animals to act like that. These experts believe baboons are criminalized for doing things other animals do normally. Come to think of it, are some dogs not lousy too? Number 6. Gigantic lava lake. Experts say the reappearance of a lava lake in the crater of a volcano in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo is a positive sign. This lake appeared 4 months ago after an eruption killed 32 people. The disaster spewed out lava and buried several homes. It stopped on the northern outskirts of Goma, a city home to about 600,000 people. Experts say the appearance of the lake of fire shows that earthquakes will reduce in Goma. Before the deadly eruption in May 2021, strong tremors shook Goma, and scientists feared the worst would happen. They were right. Trouble was brewing for the environment and those that lived there. Carbon dioxide gas dissolved in the depths of the water up to the surface and suffocated everyone in the vicinity. Authorities there evacuated about 400,000 people to protect them. Lava disappeared after the eruption, sparking fears that its remnants are buried under Goma. The most terrible disaster in the area occurred in 2002 and 1977, where 100 and 600 lives were lost respectively. Number 7. Huge statue. The African Renaissance Monument is also called the Monument de la Renaissance Africaine. This bronze statue stands on a hill in Dakar, Senegal. It represents a sturdy man, a woman, and a child emerging from a volcano. The monument was inaugurated on April 3, 2010, amid hundreds of traditional dancers and drummers. The record-breaking statue is 164 feet high and is taller than the famous Statue of Liberty in the U.S. This edifice was launched to celebrate the country's 50 years of independence. It aims to attract foreign tourists and increase the country's revenue. So far, it's achieved this goal as thousands of visitors troop into the West African country to feel Africa's triumph. The statue symbolizes an African that emerged from the volcano and faces the West. It means that the continent freed itself from several centuries of imprisonment, racism, and ignorance. Number 8. Desert kayaks. Kayaking is a pleasurable sport, especially after you've mastered the tricks. Eric Walter had seen it all, as he had been to some of the world's biggest waterfalls. He wanted to try something new, and when the opportunity came, he jumped on it. The German rider has traveled the world searching for big rivers full of rapids, but has never tried the desert. Luckily, he met a sponsor willing to take him to a desert. After agreeing to the dare, Walter found himself in the dunes of Namibia. Armed with his boat and paddle, he set out on one of the first kayaking expeditions in the desert. He collaborated with 3 world-class paragliders. He was curious to know what his speed level would be. Shockingly, he moved at 60 kilometers per hour and rode down a few dunes, most of which were 100 meters. Thanks to the paragliders, he could pull his kayak back to the top after the wind pushed him down. This new experience is one that Walter hopes the rest of the world will experience. Yes, it is dangerous, but worth the try. Number 9. Hyena Whisperer. Hyena men are hired to feed hyenas outside the city walls. This practice of feeding these animals outside city walls is traced to several centuries ago and is still practiced today. Legend says the practice began in the 19th century during a famine. These wild animals were fed meat scrap to prevent them from hunting livestock. Another story said the practice began 500 years ago to help sanitize the environment. Another folk story explains that Muslim saints gathered with hyena leaders to agree to give the animal porridge in exchange for the protection of the inhabitants. They believed the hyena was the keeper of evil spirits known to predict the future. Therefore, residents would mark special days by leaving a bowl of porridge made with butter for the hyenas. If it ate all of it, it symbolized good luck, and when it didn't, locals expected disaster. Tourists from around the world visit Harar for this occurrence and experience Ethiopia's rich culture. Number 10. Rechat Structure. Researchers say it's best to view the Eye of the Sahara from space. This angle makes it look like the landing site of a 40-kilometer wide flying saucer. The recharge structure, viewed from the sky, is one of the most impressive pictures you'll ever see. Only a few tourists mind going deep into the Sahara, but when they do, they enjoy a holistic visit. Previously believed to be caused by a meteor impact, researchers say that the recharge structure was caused by geological uplift and erosion from water and wind. The onion-like formation is formed by concentric bands of resistant quartzite rock from ridges. The dunes around it are part of the body of sand stretching several kilometers to Mali, where some cassors still exist. Cassor was a medieval settlement comprising of houses, towers, and surrounding walls across the Sahara. These cassors were inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List in 1996. See you in the next episode.